So module's unplugged. This is the gray wire. That's your CAN high. So notice the same CAN signals are there even with the module unplugged. And so a lot of people will look at that, and I myself included when I first started looking at CAN systems and saying, well, I have a signal there, that means that module's communicating. It does not. It does not. You can see that same waveform unplugged. Where's these signals coming from? It's coming from the network. That was the gray. Here's the purple. CAN high, CAN low. Dun, 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 dun.
We're going well, good thing this one's just a parasitic draw, so I mean it's not that great, but maybe it will.
No, these always suck.
I know, that's why I called you. This is my commercial guy from Advance. It's one of his friends, and I'm like, well, I got Paul to do it because then I don't have to charge you a whole lot of money. You know?
Nice. Hey guys, Scanner Danner here with my brother James. Danner, Jim.
It's all good.
One of those.
I got the Dan call this morning. Hey, is Dan there?
Dan all the time. That sucks. Danner is our last name. So yeah. Anyway, we're doing
I have another one out there, and it's your fault.
Is it?
Yeah, some guy that loves you on YouTube.
Oh.
That guy I told you to call from like way up north, and he's like, the car's here now. So okay. That's you, man.
What is it?
It's a Crown Vic police interceptor.
Your beard again. Crown Vic police car.
Yeah.
With what?
It just shuts off on.
Okay, we'll talk about that later. We're doing a MKZ, yeah, parasitic drain. What year is this? Newer. I couldn't even find the start button on it. Yeah. You missed that. And we are filming with a new camera here. It's our first 4K footage, so props to Kayla behind the camera for this rig. Hope it goes okay. But what's our history with this car?
It was dying. You know, she doesn't use it all the time, so a couple of days go by, it's always dead. You know,
okay.
He put a new battery in it, warranted a battery, and then they realized they had a current.
So within a couple days, this battery's going dead.
Yeah, well, yeah, she said if you used it every morning, it would start, but then I guess 2 days went by and it was dead again. So I did a current draw. You're going to want to pull up a wiring diagram, just a basic, and it was at like 800 milliamps.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So something's
big.
No, when you got in there, you noticed it smelled like mildew.
It did smell like a refrigerant.
Well, no, it's actually a trunk leak. The trunk was full of water.
Oh.
And I know that the self-latch doesn't work. So someone had adjusted the self-latch and dropped it down so the trunk would close tighter, but it's doesn't have a pull-down function. I can't make it work. But I isolated, if you look at the fuse box, there's two higher amp fuses that must be on the lower half that separate the fuse box, and the two heavy cables go in and they both go towards the body module. So I'm pretty sure the body module is staying awake.
Okay. You never unplugged the trunk
Well, it wasn't plugged when it came in.
It wasn't.
It was unplugged.
It was.
So
and they still had the draw.
They still had the draw. So I don't know if it's looking for a final sequence. I know the latch works because whenever.
So unplugging it may not be the answer on a computer-controlled system.
Maybe. It's just, I don't know if I'm going to throw that. I just wanted to throw that out.
You know what's funny though is I had literally I just posted right before we came here. I posted on my Scanner Danner premium page, but I had a guy, his name's Cody, who jumped in. I just said, I'm going to look at a parasitic drain on a Lincoln with a throw up emoji face just because I hate parasitic drains. And he commented trunk latch.
Oh, did he?
Yes, he did. Okay. So I mean, we're kind of that's cool? Like we're.
I got one that's more interesting out there for you.
Well, no, this is great. I mean, maybe it's a quick one, and the fact that we got water and that's all been messed with, and Cody telling me, hey, these are known for that. So let's see where this takes us.
Yeah. So like I said, it was unplugged when it came in, and I plugged it back in just because I was thinking, I don't know, just to see what would happen, you know, but it was like the end of the day.
And your draw didn't change.
It didn't change.
Okay.
But I know the latch works because I look on scan data, and when I click the latch, it shows the latch closing.
Okay.
So it doesn't think anything's open.
Okay.
But I know it's supposed to click and then pull down.
Right.
And it didn't. So someone loosened the nuts and pushed it down further to make it latch tighter because the trunk was full of water. But there's no wires where it's not in the spare tire well.
Okay.
But when you get to the wiring diagram, you'll see two bigger maxi fuses that aren't visible in the fuse box.
Okay.
And it must be either if it's like a bolt-on fuse link on the side or something. but there's a heavy wire that I was able to get on, and it was like 800 milliamps on the negative cable. And then when I hit one of those big wires, it was at like 400. So it was like half of it, but I didn't clamp the other one, but I'm only assuming because I pulled every fuse out and every relay out of the, I don't know if I did the relays or not, but I pulled every major fuse out and the mini fuses out of that whole box, and nothing ever changed. And then I realized there was 2 more maxi fuses that were like 80 amps.
They go to the BCM.
That they go to the BCM.
Yeah, and the problem on these newer cars today is unplugging stuff and plugging in, you wake modules back up again too. So,
I know.
Well, let's see where this takes us. Yeah. All right, so first thing I'm doing is I'm using a low amp probe. This is an inductive low amp probe. I'm gonna go around the cable. This one's unique in that it has a large jaw. And it is a low amp probe. So normally the large jawed amp clamps are high amp probes. We want a low amp probe with larger jaws to be able to get around the battery cables to do our parasitic drain testing. And then I have, it's actually a Pico one, but I have an adapter that's BNC to banana jack or banana ends. They call these, banana style, banana jack, banana leads, freaking bananas, right? So it goes to that with an adapter, and so I'm just using that on my Veris just for ease of use, and then we'll be probably scanning modules maybe too, I'm not sure yet, but that's why I picked the Veris for no other reason than that it is a scanner as well. And I'm just going to clip this right on the positive battery cable itself because it's the easiest one to get to. And let me go to the scope first and we'll set up our scales. The conversion on this one is 100 millivolts per amp. So I don't want to use the snap-on presets. I need to set this to a voltage scale myself. And let's get that right around the positive. There's no draw on this right now. So that's on a 10 amp. I just want to get my scales right. So 100 millivolts per amp. So a 1 volt scale would be 10 amps. We don't want that. Let's go to a 200 millivolt screen. And yeah, that draw is not there right now. Let's see if this probe, let's test the probe, make sure that it's working properly. So let me change this back to a 2 volt. So that's going to be 20 amps. If I turn the headlights on or something like that or open a door, we should see a rise here. Always check your tools. Okay, cool. So 0.7, so that's like 7 amps of current opening the door. So we are functioning. Probe is doing its job. I'll kind of watch that for a minute. As soon as that light goes out, yep, we had an amperage drop on that. Current is lowering still on the screen. We're sitting at 4 amps right now. 400 millivolts would be 4 amps. Hey, Danner, when we started, there was no amp draw. So it might be because you plugged stuff back in and then latched it and it went through a sequence that it liked to see, and now the amp draw is gone. I'm at 3 amps right now. But when I first hooked this up, before I tested the tool and opened the door, and I had like 7 amps of current, it was nothing. I had no draw as soon as I clipped around that. So we'll watch it for a minute. Right now we're at 3.5 amps.
Yeah, I think I plugged it in and I left it plugged in, but she said that it was dead. They had to jump it to get it here, but it wasn't dead this morning either. You know what I mean?
But you were messing with the latch too.
Well, that was after. I mean, originally he just pulled it in and I let it time out and I went around and did some other stuff, and a half hour later it's still 800 milliamps. You know what I mean? And they've been jumping it every other day.
Yeah, that's not good.
No, so
that's a recipe for a reverse polarity jump, and now you got major issues. Right now we're just in a hold pattern. We're just waiting for modules to shut down. Change my time base. I don't need to be on a 500 millisecond screen. I'll go to a 5 second. I don't really need to peak detect that, but I'm just doing that because of a longer time base. In case we get any kind of weird surge in current, we won't miss it. But it's not time to, in my opinion, to do anything yet. We need to wait, because when I first started, before I opened the door, we had no current showing at all. It's continuing to drop. We're down to about 3 amps now. We were at 3.5 when I was talking to Danner. There we go, dropping further down to 122 millivolts, so that's 1.2 amps. There's 0.04, which would be 400 milliamps. We want it to be less than that as well. I think I'm going to turn off peak detect So 0.045, that's 450 milliamps. Still way too much. Keep watching this. But my brother said they had 800 or 900 when he was looking at it, 800 or 900 milliamps. I think that he might have inadvertently fixed it by messing around with that trunk latch, which makes it nice for us. This is going to be an easy one. We kind of had a tip from our friend Cody. He has a YouTube channel too. It's Cody's Auto Diagnostics, I think. And Cody makes a pressure transducer as well. And we actually used it in one of our case studies recently. I'll make sure I get a link to his channel. We got a plug for Cody. But Cody had mentioned before we got here about the trunk latch. And then my brother messing with it too kind of puts us right in that direction very easily. But this is still too high. And I just want to be sure. I'm taking the amp clamp off. And I'm going to 0 it and connect it back up. That's definitely accurate. I'm reading 0.05, so close enough. 400 to 500 milliamps. We're just waiting now. I have a draw here, 500 milliamps. There we go. Draw's gone. 0.002, so that's 20 milliamps. No draw on this, Danner.
What?
No draw.
No draw.
No. Well, don't be sorry. We kind of had some cheats going into this, which is from Cody and from you. I think we know where our problem's at. We just need to recreate it now, right? So can you show us what you did with the trunk area?
I mean, is there a trunk release?
I did. The trunk release doesn't do nothing.
Nothing happened.
Okay.
So.
Is that the key? No, it's a camera.
Wait, what?
I just tried to put the key in the camera.
No, you got to go through here and pull the freaking
emergency, like the help I'm being kidnapped emergency handle.
Yeah.
Here, I got it. All right, so I got to crawl my fat ass in there, and your camera's in my way. Okay. Sucks getting old. All right, come here and tell us what we're doing. FOMO, Co? FOMO. Faux show.
Yeah, this wasn't unplugged, but this was unplugged.
That's like some kind of a, is that part of the, what is this thing? Trunk antenna. It says right on it.
Nice.
Okay, anyway.
Cool.
This came in unplugged.
This was unplugged, and someone had loosened these and pushed this down because I want to say this is the electric motor part.
Yes.
When you hit it, it'll click and latch. And
It
feels like it's down in its latch position. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
So
but that was unplugged
Yes.
because they were thinking that could have been it. So they left it unplugged, but it was still killing it. And then I plugged it back in just to see if I had any action on anything, and my current draw didn't change at all whenever I did it. But someone had loosened this and pushed the whole thing down so the trunk would close because there was water down in this spare tire.
And you said there's a switch that you were messing with, you could make it?
No, it was this latch switch up here.
Oh, there's another switch inside of that.
So, yeah. So whenever I had the hood or the trunk open, I would pop this, and if you look on your scanner, you would see trunk open.
Yes.
And then I would
Well,
click
let's recreate that. And I'm wondering if we unplug this and have that open with that switch up above, what Caleb's not getting a shot of right now, we'll get this in a second, if we can recreate this current draw, because it might be wanting to see another, and once that is open and initiated, it might be wanting to see another signal from this. And with it unplugged,
well, you want to try that first. We'll just leave it plugged in and close it, because nothing's going to happen here. You know what I mean? It's just going to close.
Yes.
See if you get a current, because I definitely had the trunk open that day.
Did you move this at all?
No, it doesn't move.
Okay,
You know
so
what
it's
I mean?
frozen.
Yeah, so I mean there was no.
Recreating it sucks, but let's see what we can do. And
I'm not even sure how it would, when you hit the trunk release, is there another motor to, I don't know. Like, how would it unlatch? You know what I'm saying?
I do. Well, I'll pull up a diagram, we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But it came in unplugged. I'm wondering if I just want to unplug it.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean,
I want to unplug it and close.
Honestly, if you can't
close
recreate it fast, I'll just tell them, you know.
Right now, that is not showing us a draw. That's not possible because I got lights on. Always got to check your tools, man. Just resetting my amp clamp. All right, so we have 3 amps going on right now. It's now 4 amps. I'm gonna close that with this unplugged. because that'll activate this switch, or I could just simulate it being closed so I don't have to crawl back in. There we go.
Crawl back in.
That affects the trunk light. Okay. Remind me not to shut that without opening it again. Okay. So we're waiting again. I have the trunk motor unplugged and the latch closed. I do want to put my scan tool on here and do some checks on that system, but I don't want to introduce another load. If I plug into the data link connector, that in itself can wake things up. So I just want to see how this reacts to this first. Around here on this side, Caleb. Just wanted to show the two wires that Danner was connecting to was this, that's a blue with an orange, and then the yellow with a red are the two wires that Danner was clamped on. So we're gonna look at those two and see where they go in the fuse box, or I'm sorry, on the wiring diagram. All right, so the green with the red and blue red. All right, so the blue with the red, it looked orange there, but that does go to the BCM. Danner, you said you got amperage readings on both of those.
I am not,
Because
I think I only clamped on one of them and it was half.
Okay.
And I don't know if I hit the other one or not because it was like the end of the day and I'm like, Bob,
okay,
I'm going to need time with this.
Okay. Well, the blue and red does go to the BCM. So the other one's green, red, and goes down to other circuits, fuel pump, PCM power relay, and fuse 37. All right, I'm not going to worry about what you connected to as far as locating this. We're suspecting the trunk area, and I'm going to mess around back there and see if I can make it do it. So I'm going to go to the trunk diagram.
No, that other one there, the one that goes, the one that doesn't go to the BCM, is there still a link where that goes to where, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
another power feed to the
it could be.
I know it wasn't the same 800 I was seeing. It was only like 3 or 4.
I mean, it could be, but I'm not going to walk that path. It's not going to help us or anyone else really right now. So.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, if it won't be a loss if I can recreate it. I mean, we're pretty certain we know where our problem is. Yeah. And the fact that you're positive you had that unplugged and it still went dead.
No, see, when it came in, it was already unplugged and it had been dying on them all the time.
So when did they unplug it and then bring it to you in the process? Is it possible it was fixed before it ever even got here by somebody unplugging that?
No, because that's why it came. They knew it was full of water. They had a battery. They put it in. He warranted the battery for them, and then it died again. And I don't know where.
And that's with that.
And this was unplugged for sure. And when it came in here, I plugged it in, but I left it plugged in. You know what I mean? And it didn't change anything, so I left it plugged in. I said, we'll just have to bring you back.
Didn't change anything as far as your draw went that you saw.
It didn't change for me, and I let it time out for a while. But then he said that, you know, she was using it every day or every other day, and then it was dead again, and she just quit using it. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean?
So are you sure the draw you were looking at isn't what I saw too, which is it takes a good 5+ minutes to time out.
I was doing something else.
Okay, gotcha. Everything was shut and you had 800-900 milliamps. Mm-hmm. And that was plugged back in.
Originally, no. It wasn't plugged in.
Okay.
And I was doing that, and then at the very end I plugged it in, and then I let it time out again. It never timed out, but maybe I didn't wait long enough. But since it left, it's never been unplugged again, and she said it died on her. You know what I mean? So it was dead again, and someone had to jump it to get it here.
Okay. I don't know if we're going to be able to recreate it.
Yeah.
Well, nothing worse than a parasitic drain. There actually is. It's a parasitic drain that doesn't exist. All right, so this thing it's got a rear gate trunk module, motor, ground, a jar. So there's a switch in that. So these four, green, white, white, blue, yellow, orange, and black with a violet. This has 5 wires. Luggage compartment lid latch, okay. Danner, the lid latch does have a solenoid in it as well, a little motor. So that's gonna be up above on the deck lid. Luggage compartment lid power striker motor. Wait, there's 2. I don't know what that is. We have no amperage right now at all. Okay, moving to the back. There's some components on here I'm not recognizing. Okay, this one has 6 wires. This one has 5. This has 5. All right, so what I'm trying to do back here is I have some unfamiliar components. I don't know what either of these are, and I'm just trying to match up colors so I can try to get some direction. And I'm just going by pin numbers here. On this one, pin 1 is gray-brown, and that is gray-brown. Pin 2 is a solid brown, and it is on the diagram. Pin 3 is the blue and green, and I'm looking at this down low, and I'm like, there's purple in there, right? Pull the tape back, there's no purple there at all. That is definitely a blue with a green tracer. Funny how that works sometimes. Then pin 4 is black with a violet, and there's black with a violet tracer. Tough to see that even with the naked eye. And then the final one is looks to me like maybe a light green with a blue tracer, or a light blue with a dark blue tracer. That's pin 5. Green with a blue. So that's my guy. That's the luggage compartment lid power striker motor is what they're calling it. I don't know what the power luggage compartment lid motor is. That might be the one that opens it. I think it is. That it would, yeah, there's probably another motor. There is. It's in this corner. See if I get my light in there and show you. I hear it. It definitely has it. So there's another motor that's going to pull it, and that's the other component that's on here. And you can hear the gears when I moved it. Absolutely. There's another motor involved on this side that is going to lift and close. Actually, you can close this with the key, it looks like. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of communication then with this motor moving, doing its job, and then there's sensors and components in there, and then there's a latch switch and a solenoid up here, and then there's this guy that once it hits the latch, then it pulls it closed. So all of those are talking or working together with a module that's going to do the controls of this thing, which is the rear gate trunk module.
Dude, I gotta keep going, man.
Okay.
Do you need me for anything?
No, you're fine, but I did find something here that this does have a motor that controls this as well. So it's not just a manual
function.
No, not for the unlatch, to lift it. Like I can hit the remote and close this trunk the way it sits right now.
Oh, really?
Yes. And
that's
so
back in there.
Yes, and listen, you can hear the gear, listen.
Yeah.
So that's this other component. It's got 6 wires. So I'm going to initiate an electric trunk deck closing, and I bet we can recreate this.
So you have a latch release?
There's a latch release solenoid. There's 4 pins here
and a motor here
correct.
to pull it down.
Correct.
Why?
Yep.
Why?
Yeah, I know. It's
like I don't need
in a module
class,
and
man, just work.
But you know what's funny is, you know, all this high-tech technology, this is nothing new. We're talking about switch inputs and we're talking about output controls, and it's the same crap we've been doing since the dawn of time. So there's no reason why we can't troubleshoot this. Whether or not we can recreate the fault, I'm not sure, but I think if I try and do this electrically, we might be able to. So let me pull this, and this was unplugged, so I'll leave it unplugged the way they had it. And I think before we get any scan data or do anything else, I'm gonna see if I can make this deck lid close with the remote. I don't know that I can. It may not with a fault in the system. It may not let me do the electronic part. I'm gonna pull up my amperage here too for everyone. And we're at 0 right now. Let's see if I can close this deck lid. Yeah, it's like not even letting it close or do anything with this unplugged. I'm gonna try plugging it back in now. And now with that plugged in, let's see if we can. Yeah, it's just not letting me. We need to get the scan tool on this. There's gonna be fault codes in this system that's gonna lock it out.
Plugging that in.
Yep, just plugging into the data link connector. And this can be a factor when you're doing parasitic drain testing, just having a scan tool connected, just something to be aware of for everyone. Okay. All right, there's our vehicle. And I'm not worried about doing an all module scan right now. I'm really interested in the gate, trunk, rear module. See what codes we have. I'm sure there are some. What? It's giving me a no com. All right, code scan it is. So we're gonna have a whole crap ton of codes because Danner was pulling fuses. I'm not even gonna bother looking at these. I'm gonna clear them. Clearing all faults, then I'm gonna rescan it again. I just wanna get to that rear module and see what I can do bidirectionally as well. I should be able to move things. Invalid data received from rear gate module. All right, and that's in the instrument panel. I'm gonna hit the switch on the dash for the trunk. Nope, nothing doing there. No com or not equipped, may be optional. Is the key on? Yes, it is. I have seen some of these not communicate unless the engine's running. No com to the module is not what I expected unless somebody pulled something off of this. Nothing in the BCM. This is the instrument panel. Invalid data received from rear gate module. Yeah, got it. And it's not letting me talk to it either. No com. So where is this module? Because it's not talking. This is not what I expected. I feel like maybe someone else was in there. Rear gate trunk module. It's not giving me location. I want to know what Danner was looking at for the trunk latch switch. Maybe he was just looking at the light and not scan data, because when I moved that switch, it does change the light. Because I have no communication with this.
Yo.
Hey, when you were looking at the trunk latch switch,
Yes.
were you looking at that in scan data?
Yes.
I can't communicate with the rear trunk module.
Really?
Yes.
Well, no, I might have been in the BCM.
Or the instrument panel. So you weren't talking to the.
No, I didn't specifically pick trunk module because I was actually looking at all the door closes. Like I could see all the doors. You know, the left and the right and all the doors. That's where I was at. And then I want to say the trunk latch was in there too.
Okay. Okay. So you never went to the module itself and tried like bidirectional controls or anything like that?
I don't believe so, no.
Because I have no communication with that module. So I'm concerned about that. I don't know if you maybe left something unplugged or we put all the fuses back in and everything's back together the way it was.
No, I know it still had the current draw when it left. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know if I don't remember if I might have went in there to try to pop the trunk. I don't know. That's a good question.
As far as
it was the end of the day, and like when I turned into that, I'm like, dude, I can't do this right now.
You didn't. My question would be like the module. Like you didn't have the module unplugged or anything like that, did you?
I don't even know where that's at.
That's what I'm trying to look for it too. So, okay.
Yeah, no, I didn't go that far, man. It was just clamping. I did the easy fuses and realized it was running into the car.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was going to be like, okay, where does that go to an interior fuse box? Then do I got to like trick the door to be closed and then start pulling fuses out under the dash? You know what I mean?
And they came to you and told you that they had the trunk rigged to close?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't rig it. They loosened the nuts and pushed the latch down so it closed tighter because there was water in it.
Oh.
You know what I mean? And I don't know how much it moved, or you know what I mean? Like, honestly, I don't know if there was enough adjustment there for that or what. You know, but it looked like it was already down. You know what I mean? Like, it should come up probably, you know, because where you look at it, it looks like it's already down. So I mean, you're talking about backyard people. Like, well, let's just loosen this and push this down. It probably went down an eighth an inch and said,
yeah.
Hey, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's not like we can make a call on this either, because if I can't communicate with it, I'm not going to say that motor's bad in the back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. But we know nothing worked as far as like the remote stuff. So
right. All right. So this.
I thought I pressed. Is there a trunk close button in the trunk?
In the trunk?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but there is one. There is one up on the dash and the remote itself. I'm gonna lose you. I can't walk to the car.
Yeah.
So you think you pushed the one in the trunk and it closed?
I never had it do anything.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So I knew it was dead. I knew whatever it was dead, but you know.
Okay. All right, that's what I need. Thanks, man.
All right, man.
Okay, bye.
All right.
So this has turned into more than a parasitic drain now. This has turned into a completely inoperational in-op system. Is that the right word? Inoperational? It doesn't work. The whole system's dead.